MashaAllah la hawla wa la MashaAllah la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil ni'mal mawla wa ni'mal nasir a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin bari khalaiq ajma'in thumma salatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Amma ba'd. Dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is the third lesson for Ilm Sarf, and we have entered into a very important discussion of Ilm Sarf. Now, what we need to understand is that the words that have the tendency to change into other words are measured through a scale. The scale is a systematic laid down template that consists of bare letters Fa, Ain, and Lam. Now, as you know, in the previous lectures, as you have already learned, that unlike harf, which is not the thing that we're going to discuss in Sarf, two other fi'al and ism. No, I'd like you to take that off, please. I want you to put in the other ones. Yes, unlike harf, what we need to learn is that fail and is have the tendency to change its own structure of the word by moving from one pattern to another pattern, and that is to enhance its own meanings. And this, the changing of one word from one pattern to another pattern, this is done through a systematic rules, a systematic way. This is a template. This is a templatic system that is governed by a set of rules of Ilm Sarf. Now, you see, in this system, you will learn that all of the vowels and also addition, the subtraction of letters all have a meaning. For example, now, if you see Fath and Kasr and Zam, first we need to explain what that is. Fath is, for example, when you see on Alif, Fath is like in Urdu we also say Zabar. Now, once you put a Zabar sign, a Fath sign on top of Alif, you call that Fath, that sign, and now that letter that carries that sign is called Maftuh. And then you have Kasr. Like, for example, if you write the letter Ba, and underneath you see a line there which is called Kasr. If we can put that chart over there, you'll see that Be is called Maksur. Why is it called Maksur? Because Be has a little sign underneath which is Kasr. And then you have Dham. Dham is, in Urdu, like we say, Pesh. So that sign is called Dham, and in Urdu is called Pesh. If you put that on the letter, any of the letters, like for example on Ta, it will be To, right? And that letter, when it has that sign on top of it, will be called Madmoom. So then you have the Fath, the Kasr, and Dham, which is very easy to understand. Yes, there you go. If you see on top of your screen,
Yeah, I'm
These
sorry,
are
it's
the
tilted,
examples.
my bad. I didn't get a
Yes,
chance to fix it, so we might have to tilt our heads.
yes. Well, you'll have to tilt your heads, but then you can see what I have shown you on the screen. The fath, you see the alif, you see the sign over there, that's called fath. And then underneath ba, you see the sign is called kasr. And the dham on ta, you see that sign over there, it's called dham. And now these letters, when they have these signs on alif called maftuh, and ba, when you see before the just after continuation of that line, the continuation of that line, if you see that underneath ba, there's a sign, and without, yes, and it with that sign, the letter becomes maksur, it's called maksur. And then on ta, you see the sign thumb there. So because of that sign, which is called thumb, this letter becomes madmum. For example, if on the other page, if we can put on that other page,
Okay, let me pull it up. Oh, sure.
you'll see that, for example, dhahabto, which basically means dhahabto, which basically means you went. You went, that's singular and masculine. And now, the reason why I'm telling you about these signs is because all of these signs have a meaning. They're not without a meaning, right? For example, the first letter, the first word that you see is dhahabta. And now, if you were supposed to say that in English, you would have to say a long sentence to make the other person understand what you're trying to say. But because of that small sign on top of that ta, you can say so much. For example, you're saying you, and your intention is that you are a singular masculine person that you're addressing to. Dhahabta, dhahabta, you went. And likewise, underneath, if you see dhahabte, and when you put that sign, the kasr there, that also has a meaning. And it says, you went, singular, feminine. Like if you're addressing a lady, and you know it's just one lady, and you're saying you went. But if you write that down, you went, nobody would know what you meant in real terms, in reality. Was it when you said you went, for example, in English, were you addressing a man or a woman, two women, three women? It doesn't say, it just says you went. So that's the difference of these languages that you see. In Arabic, just because of that sign that you see, the habte, because of the sign, now you would know that you went is, when you say the habte, it means you, singular, feminine, you, one lady, went. But then on the other hand, if you say the habto, that means I went. So the examples that I've brought up is because to make you understand that these signs have a meaning. So once you see the signs on top of the words, they have meanings. They're not something that they do not have meanings. Now, if we move on to some other words, for example, dhahabtuma and dhahabtunna. You can see the other page. So there are two things that you need to understand. The signs, with the addition of signs There's a difference. No, the other page, sorry. The habtuma and the habtunna. When you see the habtuma, you know the huruf, you've learned the difference between huruf asli and huruf zaid in my previous lessons. So once you see the word the habtuma and you see the word the habtunna, the habtuma means you two ladies went. The habtuma means you two ladies. You see, like I told you in my previous lessons, unlike all other languages, Arabic is not that simple. You do not just have a singular and a plural. You also have something in between singular and plural. By plural in any language, you know that if it's a person, more than one person, or anything, something that's more than one is a plural, right? But in Arabic, if you have two things or two persons, then that also is something that you can differentiate from singular and plural. You can differentiate that. So you can see the word dhahabtuma, and you know you've learned that the huruf asli in it are dhahab. So zal, ha, and ba were huruf asli. But then just by adding tuma to dhahabtuma, it changes the meaning, right? Now ta, mim, and alif, dhahabtuma. That means you two ladies went. And then dhahabtunna would be like you three ladies or more went. The reason why I'm giving you these examples is that in Arabic, the signs that we just discussed a while ago, and also in addition to huruf zaid that you have learned in the previous lessons, by addition of huruf zaid and subtraction of the letters from huruf zaid, that changing from one pattern to another, that changes the meanings. So these things have a meaning. And now, to make it very simple, what we'll do is that in Arabic, there's a templatic system, which is very, very systematic, and also something that once you get the hang of it and you learn it, it becomes very, very simple to understand. And also, as you practice, as you go along, you will know that it's something that's, if you know the system of the templatic system, all of those things become very easy. Now, in Arabic, the word for that is awzani kalimat, awzanul kalimat, awzan. Awzan comes from the word wazn. Like in English, you say scale. So the scale of words. Or to make you understand, we could say the templatic system of Sarf, which is based on three letters, Pa, Ain, and Lam. Right? Now, Nasara, if you see, is equal to Fa'ala, I have written. Why? Because in the templatic system, I've told you the bare three letters, Fa, Ain, and Lam, is kind of a scale. If you put the word Nasara in these letters, for example, if it was not Nasara, but it was these three letters, you replace the noon with fa, and swad with ain, and ra with lam, the word becomes fa'ala, right? So nasara is mawzoon, and fa'ala is the wazn. Now there is a reason why we have chosen the word fa'ala, fa'al, fa'al, from the word fa'al. Fa'al itself means action. We could have used the word like nasara, we could have said is equal to kataba, right? Instead of fa'ala, we could have said nasara is equal to kataba or daraba, right? No, but we don't do that in Arabic. We don't do that in Sarf. The templatic system, what we have to do is we have to put all of the words, if they belong to ism or the words from fi'al, which are the verbs, you put all of these words into a single scale. And I've previously told you it is fa, ain, and lam. For example, if you see nasara on your screen, that is mawzoon, and fa'ala is wazn. So therefore, once you see kataba is equal to fa'ala, daraba is equal to fa'ala, fa'ala is mawzoon, kataba is wazn. Right? Now, why have we chosen the word fi'al? Fi'al, as I've said, means action. Once you see the word fa'ala, fa'ala in itself means that he did the action, but you don't know what he did, right? He, singular, masculine person, did. What did he do? You do not know. But because it is an action and he must have done something, what has he done? For example, kataba. So if you write kataba and you put that word, the three words, and you change those huruf asli, kataba, which are the huruf asli, the three, into fa'ala, you change it, you instantly know that katab is, for example, to write. So kataba, he wrote. You understand? So to make you understand the meanings of the words in Arabic, a templatic system has been designed which consists of the letters fa, ain, and lam. And once you put any of those words, similar words, into that templatic system, you would instantly, somehow or the other, make you understand. You will understand the meaning of that word. Now, thank you for doing that. You see that fa, ain, and lam, these are the three letters. Now you have the word, for example, nasara. Nasara is mawzoon, and the wazn, or the scale, is fa'ala. Nasara is the wazn. Mawzoon, sorry, nasara is the mawzoon, and fa'ala is the wazn. Kataba is equal to fa'ala. Daraba, fa'ala. Now what are we doing here? As I said, if you can see it on the previous page or the same page, if you can see fa, ain, and lam, right? We are replacing the three letters of a word with fa, ain, and lam, right? I'm repeating myself to make you understand. You see the word nasara. The noon in it was replaced by fa. The sad in it was replaced by ayn. The ra in nasara, the ra was replaced by the letter lam. Once you replace those letters and you convert nasara into fa'ala, that will help you to understand the basic meaning of the word that you have converted or you have replaced it with the mawzoon. Right? Now, if you go to the second page, you will see, for example, like khalaqa is failed. Now, if you go to the other page and you see that nasir and fa'il and katib, which is fa'il, darib is fa'il, khaliq is fa'il. The previous examples were of the words from thalathi mujarrad. Now, as you can see, all of these words that you see on your page are all thalathi mujarrad, except they do not have, all of the words are not huruf asli. You have one word, one letter that is Zaid. So instead of nasara, you have nasir. Nasara means that he helped. Nasir means the person who was helping, the helper, right? So nasir is equal to fa'il. What have we done here? We have replaced noon with fa. The huruf asli you see have been replaced by the huruf asli of fa, ain and lam. The harf zaid, which is alif, remains the same. We do not change the single letter, which is zaid. That remains unchanged. And now you have the word nasir. And once we bring it into the templatic system, and now with the pattern that we have discussed before, you see katib, which means the writer. That is the mawzoon, and the wazn, the scale, would be fa'il. Fa'il. Now, fa'il means, if you look up in the dictionary, fa'il is like the doer of an action. Fa'il, the doer of an action. So once you know it is the doer of an action, you will know katib. So kataba is writing, katib, but wasn't it fa'il? Fa'il, which is a doer. So therefore you would instantly know that once it was the same scale as fa'il, so therefore the meaning is writer. It's very simple. Like for example, in the third line, if you see darib, which comes from the word darb, right? Now the word darb, like for example, daraba, he hit, he, one male singular person, hit somebody. Like for example, Zaid daraba Bakr, Zaid hit Bakr. Or Umar daraba Bakr, Umar hit Bakr. Right? But once you see the word darib, you would instantly, if you put it into that templatic system and you convert the dad and ra and be with the fan, with the fa and ain and lam of the templatic system, and alif remains unchanged, you would know that it is fa'il. So fa'il, what does it mean? The doer of an action. Darb was to hit. Darib would be somebody who is hitting, the one who is hitting. So fa'il is the doer of an action, somebody who is doing something. So now you get the meaning by changing it into the templatic system. If you see the pattern, you would understand that once you have a word, and that word is of 3 letters, for example, darb or khalq or nasr, you have these 3-letter words, and you see that the word that derives from the main word darb or nasr or khalq, right? The word that derives from there, and you see the word khaliq or darib or katib or nasir. How would you know what the meanings are? Well, if you know the meanings of the words from the templatic system, whose basic and bare word letters are fe, ain, and lam, and you convert them, and you know the meanings of all of the, we're not going to memorize these now, you're going to memorize all of the templatic words later on. And once you have memorized the meanings of all of those words, and you convert them with any other Arabic word, any other similar Arabic word, you would instantly understand the meaning. That's the philosophy of the templatic system. Now you have see the word khaliq, and then after khaliq, you see fa'il. So you know somebody who creates. Like it comes from the word khalq. We've learned in the previous lectures, in the previous lessons, that there is a root word. So the root word of khaliq is khalq, right? As we go along, we're also practicing, and I'm also trying to make you understand. Khaliq comes from the word khalq, which is the root word, right? Now you see on your screen, khaliq is barwazne fa'il. So it's very simple. As we go along, even if you think it's a little hard now, but later on, once you go along, as you practice, you would come to understand. It might be a little hard in this lesson to understand, but later on, once you keep on practicing, you will understand the philosophy of it, why we have the templatic system, and also to make the Arabic language easier for you. All of these principles are laid down that you would understand as the time goes along. Now, for example, Mansur, right? Once you see like the file and all of that, I'll give you a little bit of more examples where you see maf'ul, for example, or in Salafi, yeah, like Mansur or Maktub or Madrub or Makhluq. Now, what have you done here? You know that in the word Mansur, which comes from the word Nasr, which means to help. Now, Nasr, the 3-letter word, Noon, Sad, and Ra, are huruf asli, right? And huruf zaid are Mim and Waw. And once you convert that into that templatic system and you measure it on that scale, what would be the word maf'ul? What have you done? You have replaced the huruf asli with fa, ain, and lam, while the huruf zaid remain the same. Therefore, you see that the mim, which is the harf zaid, remains unchanged. So mim is equal to mim. And then when it comes to noon, noon is the first letter of your root word nasr. So noon is replaced with fa, because as I told you, fa and lam are the 3 main letters, right? The bare letters. So noon is replaced with fa, sad is replaced with ain, waw is harf zaid that remains unchanged, and ra is replaced with lam. Therefore, the word mansur, which is the mawzoon, and the wazn of the word Mansur will be maf'ul. We see the next word, maktub. Now the root word of maktub are 3 letters, katb. And from that word, root word, you see the word maktub. Maktub is derived from the 3-letter word, kaf, ta, and ba. These are the 3 huruf asli in it. And what are we doing? We're going to measure it upon the scale that we see before you, which is maf'ul. What have we done? Mim. Well, is it huruf asli or zaid? Instantly, you know it is from huruf zaid. Therefore, zaid remains unchanged, as I said before. Kaf is huruf asli. So the first letter of kaf, first letter of the huruf asli of this word maktub is kaf, which is replaced with the first letter, which is fa. The second letter is ain. And therefore, over here in maktub, you see the second letter is, sorry, the second letter is ta, and in maktub, and over there, you see it is ain, and waw, which is zaid, remains unchanged, and lam is replaced with ba, or you can say vice versa, ba is replaced with lam, right? So maktub is equal to maf'ul. Madroob, as you have learned earlier, darb comes from the word darb. So madroob, you know instantly, mim is from huruf zaid, Dad is huruf asli, Ra is huruf asli, and Ba is huruf asli. Waw and Mim are zaid, which remain unchanged. So madroob is maf'ul, and makhluq is maf'ul. Now what does maf'ul mean? Maf'ul means the thing upon which the action was done. Like for example, when we see masjid, for example, we know that a place where the sajda was done. So masjud, if you would say, or maf'ul, or madroob, or maktub. So if you pick up a piece of paper and you see some writing on it, you would say that it is maktub. Maktub means it is written upon this piece of paper. Madroob, somebody who was beaten up. But I have to use a whole sentence to convey the meaning. That if I'm going to say that one man was beaten up, so the guy who was beaten up would be called by a single word in Arabic, madroob. It's as simple as that. Makhluq. As we have learned earlier, the doer of the action is fa'il, and khaliq, as we learned before, was the doer of the action. Khaliq, somebody who creates. And now we see makhluq, the creation. Something that was created would be called makhluq. So that's the basic idea of, the templatic system. The last but not the least, I'd like to tell you that these fa, ain, and lam have names. So fa is called faul. Yes, fa, ain, and lam. All right. Now, as we have learned earlier, Sulati Mujarrad, Rubai Mujarrad, in the last lesson we had learned Humasi Mujarrad. Sulati Mujarrad consists of 3 letters, Rubai of 3 or 4 letters, and Humasi of 5 letters. So what do we do in Sulati Mujarrad? We have learned that in Thulathi Mujarrad, when you see a word called, like for example, alim, what is it? If you say that it is 4-letter word, yes it is, but it's still Thulathi Mujarrad. Thulathi Mujarrad means a word with 3 letters. But then over here, you see alim has 4 letters. What does that mean? It means that it is Thulathi Mujarrad, but alif in it is from harf Zaid. Therefore, alim or katib or darib or khaliq, all of them which you had learned yesterday, kalamat al-mutanajis, the words of the same family, all of these words, alim, katib, darib, all of them are Thulathi Mujarrad. Likewise, in ma'loom, if you see how many letters there? Mim, ain, lam, waw, and mim. You see 5 letters. Is this Thulathi Mujarrad or is it Khumasi? No, it is Thulathi Mujarrad. Why? Because the bare letters, the root letters in ma'loom is ilm. Mim and waw are the extra letters or the huruf Zaid. Therefore, because its root word is ilm and it belongs to the 3-letter word family, which is Thulathi Mujarrad, therefore it's called Thulathi Mujarrad. Even if you see that there are 4 or 5 letters. The main idea is to find out if the letter consists of 3 main root letters, then it is Thulathi Mujarrad. We move on to Rubai Mujarrad. Now, in Thulathi Mujarrad, previously in this lecture, in the previous pages, you have learned that all of the replacements or the scales that you've seen from Thulathi Mujarrad, you've seen that. Now, we move on to Rubai Mujarrad. You see the word Ja'far over here, right? And equals are written fa'alal. Why? Well, as I said, the huruf asli replace the huruf asli of fa'ain lam. But in Ja'far, there are 4 letters. So what do? We repeat the last letter ra with lam. Why? Because ra also is from the root word, which consists of 4 letters. So this word itself is a root word of 4 letters, where jim is also huruf asli, from huruf asli, ain is also from huruf asli, fa is also from huruf asli, ra is also from huruf asli. Therefore, what are we going to do? Previously, we witnessed a 3-letter word. Now we're seeing a 4-letter word. What do we do when we have a 4-letter word? Well, we repeat the last letter, which is lam. Therefore, in the word Ja'far, once we have repeated the last letter with lam, we say fi'alal. You see 2 lams instead of 1 single lam. And it's the same in Khumasi Mujarrad as well. You see the word Safarjal. You see there are 5 letters. Fe, Ain, and Lam are the 3 letters. That are the 3 basic letters. But then the 4th and the 5th, which is Jim and Lam in Safarjal, what do? We still go on repeating the Lams at the end. So then we have Safar, and then we have 2 Lams in the end. Fi'alal. That's the basic idea of today's lecture. Now, I hope I've made myself clear. I'll try to summarize it for you. In Arabic, we have a templatic system based upon 3 letters, Fe, Ain, and Lam. which Fa'an and Lam comes from the word Fa'al, which means to do an action, right? And once we go on with the next lectures and the next lessons, you will learn all of the meanings in the sympathetic systems. And once we replace the words of ism and fail, and we see the pattern in, which is the same, if you see the same pattern in the sympathetic system, we would automatically come to know the meanings of the words. So I think it's enough for today. Inshallah. Therefore, we'll go on to learn other things, inshallah, from tomorrow. And I would like to know if you have understood the whole thing or not, because today was a very important lesson. If there are any questions that anybody would like to ask, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Aghajan, if I may start with the first question, but folks, we are open for Q&A now.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Aghajan, about the templatic system was very interesting. About the file, the doer. Do we have, does the file in Arabic distinguish between the masculine and feminine also? Like, we use in Dua Tawassul, I know that Ishfa alana or Ishfa'i lana, for example, like we understood the Mawzoon and in the templatic, basically the file, the doer.
No, the file itself, the doer does not have masculine and feminine. Just like Zarabto, for example, I hit somebody. So that also does not have a specific masculine or feminine. And likewise, Darabna, we hit. So who were we? Were we talking about when we said we? So who were we? Masculine or feminine? That also does not differentiate. But then there are 14 different kinds that you would come to learn in the sympathetic system. And once you bring all those words into that sympathetic system, you would automatically know the meanings of the word.
Great.
Right?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Jazakallah. Brother, any other questions you guys have for Aghajan on today's lecture?
No?
No.
All right.
No questions?
But let me repeat myself, today it was a very important session. I'm sure you're going to have the recording, so please look back into the recordings, and then as we go along, the things are going to get, inshallah, easier. And I hope you've understood the whole thing. If there are any questions, then once we come back tomorrow again, you can refer to me, and then you can ask questions if there's anything that you've not understood. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Same time, 9:30. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much, Jazakallah Aghajan. And just to confirm the timing again, we're doing 3 times a week, right? So maybe it's on Wednesday. Now we meet again, same time. So.
Didn't you say Sunday, Mondays, and Wednesdays?
Oh yeah, sorry. Tomorrow is Monday. My bad.
Tomorrow,
yeah.
Right.
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is Monday. So we meet tomorrow,
right.
Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and then again on Sunday. Yeah. So tomorrow we meet again at same time, 9:30 p.m. And please do watch the recorded version just to reinforce what we have learned today. So that will be uploaded. I will share the link on the YouTube. And please do share your comments or questions if you have any. So with that note, we'd like to end and conclude. So you all have a good day, good evening, wherever you have dialed in from. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Thank you very much. Jazakallah.